everybody, today we are going to be talking about solving with variables. Our learning objective for today is to be able to determine what a variable is in a number sentence and how to solve for it. A variable is a symbol that's usually a letter representing an unknown number or value. Commonly used letters are X, Y, and Z. That doesn't mean that you cannot use other letters, but these are the ones that we typically see. We use a variable to allow us to solve problems where we don't know all the numbers just yet. In real life, you might use this when working with money, speed, or time. It's very important to understand the difference between expressions and equations. An expression is a math phrase with variables and numbers, whereas an equation has variables and numbers, but there's an equal sign. So when you hear the word equation, I want you to think that that sounds like the word equal. So an equation has an equal sign. When you're solving simple equations, there are step-by-step rules that you should follow. Number one, you have to isolate the variable or get the variable all by itself. To do this, you use inverse operations. So if you see addition, that means you're going to use subtraction. If you see multiplication, you're going to use division. I'll show you what I mean by that in a moment. Then you're going to check your solution by substituting it back into the equation. Let's take a look at the example. Here we're going to solve for x. I have x plus 3 equals 11. Well, I see that I'm doing addition on one side, and I have an equal sign. So this is an equation, okay? So I need to get the x by itself. That's my goal. I need to isolate the variable. So in order to do that, I need to do the opposite of addition. I need to subtract 3. Now, not only am I subtracting 3 from this side, but I also need to subtract 3 from the other side. Well, plus 3 minus 3, well, that cancels each other out. And now I know that 11 minus 3 is 8, and everything on the other side I have to bring down. So my x equals 8. Let's check out another example. In this example, I make it a little bit more difficult. This is going to have another step. So first things first is I need to get my x all by itself. Well, my x is connected to my 2 here. So I want to make sure that I get rid of everything else first. So let's subtract my 3 from both sides. I know that my 3 and my 3 cancel each other out. And now 11 minus 3 gives me 8. But 8 no longer equals just x because I also have a 2 here. So I'm going to bring down that 2x to equal 8. Now when I have a number right next to my variable, this is kind of like unspoken that it's supposed to be multiplication. There's no multiplication sign, but whenever you see a variable very close to a whole number like that, you know that they're supposed to be multiplied together. What's the opposite of multiplication? Division. So that means that I'm going to divide both sides by 2. Well, same as up here, my 2's cancel each other out. So now I just have x equals 8 divided by 2. What's 8 divided by 2? 8 divided by 2 is 4, which means x equals 4. Now you're going to try this one first, and then try one a little bit harder. Go ahead and pause the video, and then you can check your answers when you come back. Let's solve these together. So let's first start off with the one on the left. I have x minus 2 equals 10. Well, I need to get the variable all by itself. So I see that I have minus 2 here. In order to do this correctly, I have to use the inverse of subtraction. The inverse of subtraction is addition. So I'm going to add 2 to both sides. My 2 and my 2 cross each other out. And now I just have x equals 10 plus 2. What's 10 plus 2? 12. X equals 12. Let's move on to the right side for one a little bit trickier. We're going to start off in the same way. We have our minus 2 here, which means I'm going to add 2 to both sides because that's the inverse operation. Our 2's cross each other out. But now instead of having x equal 12, I need to bring down everything. So 4x equals 12. When a number is that close to the variable, does anybody remember what operation that means? That means multiplication. So in order to reverse this, I need to do division. Let's divide each side by 4. Well, my 4 and my 4 cross each other out. And now I have x equals 12 divided by 4. Anybody know 12 divided by 4? It is 3. So x equals 3. We also can do this using a real-world problem. Let's check it out. 4 movie tickets with $3 total tax cost $35. What is the individual price of each ticket? X. Okay. So I know that there's 4 movie tickets with $3 total tax. So I need to multiply my 4 by the number of tickets. I'm sorry, there's 4 tickets, but this is the cost of each ticket is X. And then $3 for tax. My total was 35. So now I have my equation written out and I'm ready to solve. Anybody have any idea what I would do first? I'm going to subtract 3 from both sides. Well, my 3's cross each other out, and now I can bring everything else down and do my 35 minus 3. 35 minus 3 is 32, and bring down my 4x. 4x equals 32. Now 4x, that stands for multiplication because they're right next to each other. So how do I reverse multiplication? I divide. 4 divided by 4 crosses each other out. And now x equals, what's 32 divided by 4? 8. X equals 8. Now, you always want to check your answer. This is how we're going to check. So we have our original problem, which is 4x plus 3 equals 35. We found that our x equaled 8. So I'm going to plug in that 8. Now again, I don't see a multiplication sign, but sometimes these parentheses, when you see these next to a number, that also means multiplication. So now I have 4x plus 3 equals 35. How am I going to solve this? Make sure you use the order of operations. Now according to PEMDAS, I'm going to multiply first. 4 times 8 is 32. I bring down my 3, and it still equals 35. Now I'm going to see that 35 equals 35, so I got my answer correct. In this case, if your answer was 34 and you get 34 equals 35, would that have been correct? Absolutely not. So you would want to go back and see what you did wrong. Do not forget to perform the same operation on both sides of the equation and always check your answer. Good luck working with variables in the future.